We on? Hare Krishna. Oh yes, we're on. Looks like people are in a recovery mode from yesterday. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Sunyava Paschatya Desatadine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Continuing from the class, last class was describing the two leaves that first make their appearance in the creeper of bhakti, the bhakti lata. And we ended with hearing about kleshagni. That was one of the two leaves. And then we're going to hear two topics today. Shubha da, what the giver, bhakti gives shubha, or auspicious, transcendental auspiciousness. And then we'll start to go to the next set of leaves and the next stage of bhakti following sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti. So we're going to touch the beginning parts of anartha nivritti. It's pretty simple. There's not too much vocabulary. And the concepts are we've heard many times before. This is the chart or the graphic depiction of the entire, from the very bottom down there. That's the seed of Bhakti Lata Bija that's sown in the seed of heart and the mind or the senses, and it continues up and up and up and up and up to the flower and the fruit of Prema Bhakti. Here is where we were on yesterday. On the screen on your left side, you can see Kleshagni, Klesha Gni, destroys misery. And it's not like it happens all at once. Well, here, as the leaves of a tree or the leaves of a creeper or of a plant, they unfurl in different paces, in different ways, but they continue. Similarly, for different individuals, the rate or pace of these two leaves, Klesha Gni and Shubhada, it'll happen differently, but the principle is there. We heard already about the two sides of the leaf. One is smooth, the other is rough. One is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, the other is Raga Nuga Sadhana Bhakti. We heard of that little intricate description. And so now on the right-hand side, there's Shubhada. So the seed of bhakti is sown in the heart and the senses. And on the upper left side, 5 types of misery, we went through those. 4 types of sin, we went through those, because sin leads to misery. And on the right side, Shubhada. So there's a list of 9, of course, it would be a much longer list, but 9 auspicious manifestations that arise arise directly from bhakti itself. To whatever extent they may be present in somebody, that's made more lastingly present through the medium of bhakti. Very nice chart. Very nice chart. So, Shubhada, divine qualities. And within that leaf on the right side, it has all this list. Just the print is very small. Disinterest in material affairs and interest in Krishna. Shubhada. Gratitude. Mercy or compassion. Karuna. Forgiveness and tolerance. Nice pair. Truthfulness. These are qualities of goodness, but the qualities of goodness become manifest in the life of the one who's engaged in bhakti. Simplicity, equanimity, fortitude, gravity, respectfulness. You like to meet this devotee, right? Humility. He's a nice devotee. And gradually, through the cultivation of bhakti, these qualities become progressively, by following bhakti properly. So back to how does bhakti begin, and those characteristics of the faith or conviction in those, in Shuddha Bhakti, without material affinity, with no other shelter, etc. This very same list is found in the Sanatana Shiksha section of Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a reference made by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to this well-known verse, Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavatya Kinchana, the good qualities, Sarvayar Ganesh Tatra Samasute Sara. This translation says not just the qualities, but all the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion. Small adjective, unalloyed devotion for the personality, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. So just follow bhakti properly and everything nice. We've seen this image and we've heard this reference also already. This is from the discussion between Maharaj Nimi and the Navyogendras. And one of the Navyogendras answers each of the 9 questions. Here's one of the answers. Bhakti, let's say the verse together. Bhakti parishana bhavo viraktir anyatrasha trikala ekakala prapadyamanasya. This is not properly. Devotion, there's 3. Trika ekakala. Devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These 3 occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this isn't the full Sanskrit of the verse, but it's part of it. Destruction of inauspiciousness, Kleshagni, and appearance of good qualities, Shubhada, occur at their own rate of growth, which varies person to person. So this is emphasizing the same point again. The Ashubha, the inauspicious, and the appearance of Shubha appear differently. It gives a nice metaphor. As with the difference in the rate of unfurling of leaves of a budding creeper, so also there are natural differences, devotee to devotee, in the rate of Shubha qualities manifesting and of Ashubha qualities disappearing. Shubha Shubha Palayar Eva Mokshase Karma Bandhanai. That verse is just being expressed. And it comes from sadhusangas. It's the same, not a new point. Faith leads one to aspire to take shelter of Guru and Krishna sense, sadhu, to such a person who has that preliminary faith, and inquire from him about sadachara, proper conduct. He begins to, it's describing the unfolding or the growth of the creeper of bhakti. He begins to relate to like-minded devotees, take association of advanced devotees. This is the Madhyamas behavior. And these 2 propel one quickly to the stage of a Madhyama Bhakta. So there's the tendency, and then one becomes situated as a Madhyama Bhakta, Madhyama Adhikari. Sadhu Sangha aspects, spiritualization of the mind becomes more condensed. So we heard, yes, I'm sure you remember, those of you who are with us, the appearance of bhakti, it has any effect of spiritualizing the senses and the mind. And as one progresses in bhakti, it becomes the spiritualization of the mind, that is to be able to discern one thing from another thing, becomes more acute. Material attachments, they remain in this sadhu sangha stage. pervading. That means, less than the material contamination stage, but still they remain. And where do they remain? Pervasive, mind and senses. Less on the material side and more on the spiritual side, but still attachments. Now we're ready to move on. At least Vishwanath is taking us to the next stage. Having touched upon the first two stages, Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha, plus the appearance of the bija and the first two leaves of the bhakti creeper with the upper and lower surfaces, let us next explore the unsteady and steady stages of bhajana kriya. So to get to the nishtha stage, you have to pass through the unsteady stage. Naturally, this will encompass considering eradication of a wide range of unwanted subtle contaminations. So the Nartha-nivritti stage. That was pretty quick with the Shubhata. Now we're moving, because Nartha-nivritti is a big stretch. Here's the celebrated two verses that the whole book is resting upon. Translation: in the beginning, one must have a preliminary desire for self-realization. It's described in different ways also. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In the next stage, one becomes initiated. That was quick. By an elevated spiritual master. And under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. Of course, we heard there's different ways of describing this. This is one of the ways. It's not that devotional service hadn't begun until one becomes initiated, and then the neophyte devotee begins. Nice graphic. By execution of devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, one becomes free from all material attachment. That was quick too. Attains steadiness and self-realization. That's pretty nice. And acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This taste leads one further forward to attachment for Krishna consciousness, which is matured in bhava, or the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love for God is called prema, the highest perfectional stage of life. That was quick. 9 stages. Here's Mirabai. This is just a part of the picture. This is the whole picture. She's with her Veena, accomplished bhakta or bhaktin, Vaishnavi, and very much in love with Krishna. And love to sing about Krishna and aspire to be with Krishna. Mirabai. A nice little image. This is showing the 2 leaves, and as the stem continues to grow, there's additional leaves up above, up and up above. We saw that little graphic of a sunflower growing yesterday. So this is the lower stage that we saw already, Sadhu Sangha, primarily focusing on those 2, Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha. Now we're going to go a little further up, Bhajana Kriya, and there's a lot of text. If you want, I can just leave the image on the screen so you can read the text, or we'll just go on to what it says in bigger letters. There's cleansing obstacles to bhakti. So on the left and the right side, there's a list of 4. And then up above, there's 5 obstacles before nishtha. So it makes 4 plus 5 is 9. So we got a lot of work to do. Bhajana kriya is of 2 types, steady and unsteady. 6 symptoms of unsteadiness sequentially. Utsaha mayi, false confidence. So like a beginner student may think I've mastered my subject already. And that's a false kind of confidence. And Ghana Tarla. So sometimes very enthusiastic, sometimes not so enthusiastic. And then sometimes a little more focused on what's the intention behind the activities of bhakti, and sometimes a little splayed out about what the intentions behind the activities are. Ghana Tarala. Indecision. A classic one that's used to describe these vyuta vikalpa is a young man, young brahmachari, contemplating, should I get married or not? There's a clear sign he should get married. And sometimes they don't and have a problem, or they make a problem, or both. And then it becomes the leader's discipline problem, how to deal with this fellow that shouldn't be a brahmachari. I remember very clearly hearing Bhakti Chaitanya Swami giving a seminar on Madhurya Kadambini, and he gave a very nice example. It's a nice example from his experience in the UK. In the UK, in London, it rains a lot. And one time, he describes, George Harrison was visiting the Bhaktivedanta Manor. And when he came to visit Bhaktivedanta Manor, he came in a big limousine. When the devotees knew he was coming, so when he got out of the limousine, he started walking towards the manor, and there was a nice brahmachari who was very enthusiastic, and he paid his full obeisances right in a mud puddle. And he stood up with his palms folded and dripping his dhoti with mud all over the front of the dhoti. And George said, "You didn't have to do that." Utsaha mayi. Utsaha, the enthusiasm. Utsaha. False confidence. Ganatarla, thick and thin. That's like a more literal translation. Thick and thin. Sporadic endeavor. Sometimes and sometimes. Indecision. Inability. These two are combined. Vishaya. We know what the Vishaya means. Sense enjoyment. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinam. So Vishaya, sense enjoyment. So Vishaya Sangra, inability to give up harmful tendencies or bad habits. And then Niyamakshama. We heard this word niyama several times. Yama and niyama, or things to be done, things not to be done. So niyamakshama, there's vows, and I can't uphold the vows properly. I can't give up things that are harmful, and I can't do the things that are beneficial. These are causes of unsteadiness or symptoms of unsteadiness. Here's a little explanation. The distinction between the two, it's already been made, but one is helpless to give up sense enjoyment, and to improve bhakti, I can't remain steady. I seem to not be steady in knowing those things that are to be done. And then there's the final one, number 6. Taranga Rangani. Taranga means waves, and Rangani is trying to be the enjoyer of the waves of material facilities generated by bhakti. So it's a problem. You be successful in bhakti, and good things come. People praise you. You get facilities. You get the opportunity to be the enjoyer. So the solution is don't be successful in bhakti. That's not the solution. But it's when those things do come, just like the yesterday evening, it was such a nice festival, and very emotional experience for Manasi Ganga and her husband and their daughter. But so the praise, and I'm sure she was praising many persons, and many persons were praising her, how she organized and pulled. So she could hear that praise and think, yes, I tried really hard, and Krishna was very kind, and it was good. So how do you handle praise when you're successful? And we want to honor people that do something nicely, and then here comes the praise. Now what? Or here comes some facilities. Now what? As an ideal acharya, Srila Prabhupada demonstrated again and again, he was just fine with whatever. I mean, there's a nice description. The place where he stayed when he visited New Vrindavan, because they were just getting underway, and then later when the Mayapur temple was not yet built, or the Vrindavan temple was, so his living arrangements were just ridiculous, and he was just quite fine. He made no squawk about the inadequate arrangements. And then when things were very nicely provided, he didn't become the enjoyer of those. He just, whatever Krishna arranges is fine. That's his personal, and then he was greatly concerned about his followers and the difficulties they had to undergo with this and that and the other thing. I remember reading one description where the devotees in Australia were put in jail for street kirtan. And Prabhupada said, what's the problem? They can chant in jail. They have their beads, they can chant. And if they don't take their beads away, they can chant on their fingers. What's the problem? And then referring, that even in the time of Lord Chaitanya, they were harassed. So it's not new. What Lord Chaitanya didn't stop because they were harassed. Now, there's boundaries, of course. having recently visited China, yet one has to be careful, very careful. But within boundaries, your Krishna's protection is there. So this is the third Tarangarangani, enjoyer of the material facilities that go or are given to someone who's successful in bhakti. A sannyasi. And there's some honor, something, 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 a nice seat, something, something, something. And one may come to expect it and be disappointed and whatever if that isn't there, or grumpy or something. Anyway, that's one of the 6 symptoms of unsteadiness. Oh, yeah, because that's before it's something that's impure within. So we're going to hear the impure within topic next. Bhajana Kriya, just because this is the stage. Bhajate or bhajana has its root in the word bhaj. Really simple. This is from Bhagavad Gita chapter 6. It means service, and service means something practical. So worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to a worthy one, but service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So specifically, the word bhajate applies to the Personality of Godhead. Bhajate mam ananya bhak. Adore vasamantavya. We're going to do a summary already. We just got started. Bhajana Kriya gives rise to 2 of the qualities of pure devotional life, pure devotional service. Kleshagni and Shubhada. Other aspects of Bhajana Kriya, we're still in the Bhajana Kriya stage. Spiritualization of I and mine. So the self-conception, and then which extends from the self-conception, mine. So that becomes spiritualized to some degree. Material attachments, still there. Purna, completely full. Material attachments. Meditation upon the Supreme, momentary, with a significant taint of material topics. Sound familiar? The importance of Sankirtan and Bhajana Kriya, it's a principal means of associating with devotees, just like the kirtan that's going to happen this evening. I'm sure Madhava's having a good time, and I'm sure the young devotees that are accompanying him as musicians are having a good time. And it's an important step for maturing of sadhusanga and experiencing the spiritual happiness of sadhusanga. Here's a same topic in Lord Chaitanya discussions with Sanatana Goswami. This is in Antya Lila. Among the ways of executing devotional service, noise, thanks, but no thanks. He went through a big deal to get the fan ready, but it's like, among the ways of executing devotional service, the 9 prescribed methods are the best. For these processes have great potency to deliver Krishna and as ecstatic love for him. This is Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Sanatana. Of the 9 processes of devotional service, the most important is to always chant the holy name of the Lord. If one does so, avoiding the 10 offenses, one very easily obtains the most valuable love of Godhead. Again, these statements are saying something like a big step in a few words. So there's the book is to help us understand what are those in between messages that normally aren't spoken. It's just this big step. Chant without offense and love of God. Haribol. Here's Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur speaking specifically or writing about Bhajana Kriya. A devoted and chaste wife, while absorbed in the service of her husband, does not care even for her son. Similarly, a disciple deeply absorbed in service of the Guru does not depend on hearing and chanting, knowing that by Guru Seva he can easily attain complete perfection in devotion. Just as a devoted wife does not want any sense enjoyment and home comfort, so too a disciple completely absorbed in Guru Seva does not seek even divine bliss arising out of hearing and chanting, nor even seek secluded places to do bhajan. That is the instruction in this verse. In the Vedas, also the service of the Guru is proclaimed as supreme. So, do you have a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam? Do you have a Bhagavatam set? Ask him if he has 4:28-24, so I can read the verse. Every ISKCON devotee has a Bhagavatam set in his home. And if they don't, they'll get one soon. Because we have enthusiastic devotees that'll help you. He got a very special place for his Bhagavatam set. Thank you. 4:28-24. There it is. Here's the verse. The serpent who has already been arrested by the soldiers of Yavana Raja and was out of the city, began to follow his master along with the others. As soon as they all left the city, it was immediately dismantled and smashed to dust. I'll read the purport. When the living entity is arrested, this is death. When the living entity is arrested, all his followers, namely the life air, the senses, and sense objects, immediately leave the lump of matter, the body. When the living entity and his companions leave, the body no longer works, but turns into basic material elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. When a city is attacked by enemies, when a city attacked by enemies is vacated by the inhabitants, the enemy immediately takes advantage of that city and bombards it to smash the whole thing to dust. When we say, "Thus thou art, thus thou beest," we refer to the body. When a city is attacked and bombarded by enemies, the citizens generally leave and the city ceases to exist. Paragraph. It is a foolish person who engages in improving the conditions of the city without caring for the citizens or the inhabitants. When a living entity is not properly enlightened in spiritual knowledge, simply takes care of the external body, not knowing the spirit soul is the principal factor within the body. When one is advanced in spiritual knowledge, the spirit soul is saved from eternal transmigration. The Bhagavatam considers those who are attached to their bodies to be like cows and asses. Saeva Gokura. The cow is a very innocent animal, and the ass is a beast of burden. One who labors under the bodily conception simply works like an ass and does not know his self-interest. So, Vishwanath is taking this verse and making his commentary on this verse that we just read in a little bit of Prabhupada's purport, and commenting that bhajana kriya means taking care of who we really are, as a wife is very dedicated to the husband and not so much to the byproducts, but to the husband. And that includes this dedication of service to the spiritual master. This is the prayers that we sing at Mangalarti, they're Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's prayers, the importance of worshiping of the spiritual master, not the Mangalarti, but Guru Puja prayers. So, when one becomes sufficiently elevated through bhajana kriya, a greater affinity has already been mentioned, a greater affinity for the object of the Lord or the lotus feet of the Lord are awakened more strongly. Supposing one becomes so elevated and through bhajana kriya that they attain the nishtha stage and have some attachment for the lotus feet of Krishna. Is it possible that those unwanted things can arise again? That's a question that he addresses, Vishwanath, in this Madhurya Kadambini. He points to two examples. One is the Chitraketu example. Chitraketu was a king, and the painting shows at a certain point in time he became a king of Vidyadhara Loka. Vidyadhara Loka is below heaven, but just, a very elevated material planet. And he became a king of Vidyadhara Loka. And that what's showing over here on the left side of the painting, he has a vimana that he could travel anywhere he wanted to do. And so he wanted to one time visit. He was such an elevated Vaishnava, he had a friendship, not otherwise, just a friendship with Lord Shiva. And when he went to visit his friend, Lord Shiva, there he saw Lord Shiva with his wife on his lap. And he made a remark indicating by his intention in his remark was, Lord Shiva, only somebody as elevated as you could have your wife sit in your lap and not be agitated. But Parvati thought it was a criticism. How dare you criticize my husband? So she cursed him. And he became a demon. So he went from Chitraketu, the king, to the king of the Vidyadhara to become a demon, Vritrasura. But it was an accidental, it wasn't even an accidental Mahaparad. It wasn't even an aparad. It appeared to her, and therefore she cursed him. So he became a demon. But in his demon body, he remembered fully his position from before, an elevated Vaishnava. So he's in a demon's body with an elevated Vaishnava consciousness. Pretty awkward. He retained his prema, even as Vritrasura. Another example that he looks at, Vishwanath, Jai and Vijay. Well, they fell from Vaikuntha, didn't they? Well, yes and no. Their apparent offense was caused by their prema. What's that? They, Jai and Vijay, gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, prayed to their master Narayana, somehow make us inimical to you so you can enjoy the pleasure of fighting. Diminish your affection for your devotees. Please fulfill our prayer. So he permitted. And it was like an orchestration of a whole series of things. So it appeared to be something that it wasn't really what it appeared to be. And same with Chitraketu. And Bhar's fall down also is discussed. Not here, elsewhere. How can there be any remaining anarthas for one who chants the holy name? Like Jamila chanted the holy name. Did he have remaining anarthas after he chanted the holy name? Answer, the holy name, being unhappy with the offenses made against it, does not manifest its power in the offender. So because one has become successful by chanting once, as their verses say, one who chants the holy name of Hari once gets all this benefit. But if the residual tendency of offense remains, and then one continues doing offense, the holy name doesn't manifest the fullness of the holy name. The Yamadutas were powerless to attack such persons. Even so, intervention by the Lord of Death, Yamaraj, and any other means of purification cannot free him from the anartha. Only the devotee himself can, by eliminating nam aparad reaction. So what's the message is, this is going into the topic of the sources of unwanted things, and one of them is offense. And offense is very serious business. And if one, like a Jamila, he had done sins, like too many, plenty, and he was relieved from the reaction of those sins by chanting Narayana, his son, calling his son, the holy name, being unhappy with offenses made against it, does not manifest its power in the offender. So there's a doubt. We'll go back to the top. If you chant the name of the holy name, like a Jamila did, is it possible there can be remaining anarthas? The answer is yes. Because if the consciousness of offense continues, even you chant the holy name once, he was relieved from the reactions of sins, but the tendency the tendency, the reaction from previous offense leads further tendency for making further mistakes like that. So that tendency doesn't go away. The holy name doesn't exhibit the fullness of its power for such a person. The Yamadutas were unable to approach Ajamila because the Vishnudutas told them, get lost, guys. You don't have jurisdiction here. Even so, intervention by the Lord of Death, Yamaraj, and any other means of purification cannot free him from the anartha. So, in other words, with this Ajamila story, it's very important. There's like a sequel to the story. When the Yamadutas went to Yamaraj and said, hey, what's going on? What happened to Ajamila? The answer is right in the Bhagavatam. Ajamila understood, I need to purify myself. So he did what is needed to purify himself. He went to Haridwar. He resided in a Vishnu temple and he engaged in Vishnu Bhakti and left his life and in that condition, purified from prior offense. So he was freed from sin by calling the name unintentionally, but there was further complication that gave rise to his sinful life. So he's freed from the reaction of those sins, but he had to remove that which caused those sinful behaviors and then their sinful reactions. So he did. Only the devotee himself can free himself from anarthas by eliminating Namaparad's reaction. Do offenders lose the mercy of the holy name? Yes. Example. This is Vishwanath. This is paraphrasing his writing. The servant of a vastly wealthy and capable master who becomes offensive is consequently neglected. So that's in a worldly circumstance, that eradication of anartha's effects is gradual. So it's not unwanted things in the heart. This is an anartha nivritti topic. Unwanted things in the heart are not only from aparad. They're from many sources. We'll hear those many sources. But the heart has a stockpile. And the stockpile doesn't go away immediately, unfortunately. It is a gradual process of cleansing, sometimes too gradual. And it depends on how we apply ourselves to the bhakti process. I just yesterday had a 40-minute conversation with someone that is struggling. This and that and this and that and the other thing, and he's losing faith and doesn't know what's going on. And why is Krishna being unkind to me? Woo, woo, woo. You know that story. 40-minute conversation. And it took so long because his mind is bewildered, befuddled, or he's strongly influenced by Maya to get to the point where Krishna is being unkind to me, because I don't, when I snap my fingers, it doesn't happen. And I keep snapping my fingers. I keep chanting. It's this and that, home life, and occupational life and social life, and why is Krishna being unkind to me? And there's so many versions of all of that. Somebody in the course of this visit here to Naperville, they've begun chanting and they find that their expectation isn't being met because they were expecting like Zoom, and it's not Zoom. One who commits nam aparad becomes averse to the Lord, to Guru, and to devotional service. Is that possible? Yes. Nam aparad can be compared to loss of appetite during high fever. Gradually, fever reduces and appetite will return with proper medicine. So don't stop taking your medicine. Don't expect rapid results. Because, I mean, anyway, we covered this points in 40 minutes, back and forth. We're in a diseased condition. And disease didn't come overnight. It took a while. And now we're infected with some disease. To cure the disease, it's not unkindness of Krishna that he doesn't cure my disease right away. I hope he listens to this seminar. I invited him to listen. Similarly, continuing to chant even without taste, but for purification. Gradually, taste, which is a manifestation of Krishna's mercy, when taste comes, will return. So taste is after anartha vritti, then ruchi, then asakti, then bhava and prema. Repeated doses of hearing and chanting of the Lord's name and other such processes then gradually reveal everything in progression. So this is, this is where most of us are, the anartha vritti stage for a long period of time. And why a long period of time? Because we're not applying ourselves in the way that in a shorter period of time would make it possible. But we're, clinging to other things. Why does offenseless chanting of the holy name not eradicate all anarthas immediately? Well, there's offenseless chanting, but then why doesn't this happen immediately? Again, we've been too long lingering in the material world, and offenses have fruits. There's consequences for offense. As a fruit tree bears fruit only in season, so also Nama Prabhu reveals his mercy upon the offenseless chanter in due course of time. Sins committed in the past due to bad habits are harmless, as the bite of a serpent without his fangs. This is Bhagavatam. Sickness, lamentation, that was this fellow yesterday, day before yesterday, and other sufferings of a devotee are not due to prarabdha. Rather, the Lord is showing his special mercy. Somebody that's going through a hard time, it's not an easy pill. Krishna's mercy. Wait a minute. I don't think I want Krishna's mercy. At least I was expecting the Krishna's mercy would be like That, not this. Anyway, some people understand, some people don't understand. Here's the scriptural reference from this. We've seen this already, 1088. 8. Here's the first verses that precede 1088. 8. It's 1 through 6. Ki Yudhisthira, the image is depicting, he's performing an Ashwamedha Yagya. And when he completed the Ashwamedha Yagya, he asked Krishna a question. And the question is, why do the worshippers of the Supreme Lord Hari not enjoy wealth and sense gratification? It's a standard type of question. Why are your worshippers, unlike the worshippers of Lord Shiva, your worshippers are often found to be very poor? Why is that? Why are they not enjoying opulence? This is the answer Krishna gives. If I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. Mercy. Conclusion. An offensive devotee may appear to suffer more than a non-devotee. The masterful Lord may send these sufferings with the plan to enhance such a fortunate devotee's humility and his longing for the Lord. When confronted with sufferings and reversals, an offensive person may lose taste or faith in contemplation upon mercy within all devotional activities. Someone may argue that he has never made any aparad. So why is he not getting the full mercy of the Lord's holy name? Answer: offenses are the reason why no symptoms of prema are experienced when performing hearing and chanting. So this is a prelude to what are the categories of offense, not only nam aparad, but aparad, and how to overcome them. So we've completed chapter 2. We're going to do a little summary of chapter 2, and then tomorrow evening we'll begin chapter 3. Unsteady bhakti has 6 progressive stages. We read them. To overcome all unsteadiness, internal obstacles must be removed. The process of overcoming these obstacles is chapter 3. So what are they and how to overcome them? Let us remember the definition of bhakti as being unmixed. So from the seed, that by what bhakti is, it's not mixed. Anyabhilasha shunyam jnana karmajanavartam. It's shuddha. Here's Kapila Dev speaking to Devahuti, chapter 29. Some of you are familiar with that chapter because that's this whole topic on respect, the 5-part seminar on respect. Same chapter. So this is definition of pure bhakti in his language, Kapila's language. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. And then Kapila, is making reference to the something very similar to, almost identical to what Kunti Devi prays. Same. O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you, without being diverted to anyone else. This is the words of a pure devotee, or a prayer, the appeal of a pure devotee. So if you're not there, then you can follow those that are, and aspire at least directionally like that. So this is preparation for some of the details of how anarthas get situated in the heart, and then how to eliminate what those anarthas that are situated within the heart are. So, Adau Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. We're on the beginning stages of the Anartha Nivritti topic. And so how those anarthas arise and how to free oneself from those unwanted things tomorrow, or chapter 3. See if there's any discussion. Yeah.
You gave the example of someone who is struggling to accept circumstances of life as
Mercy.
Krishna's mercy. In other words, they were stuck in, you said, lamentation or victim mentality.
Yeah.
So I was contemplating, connected to the klesha discussion you had as well. I was wondering if the mental makeup that somebody has, the subtle body that they have, that is prone to a victim mindset, is that also part of one's karma besides the external circumstance?
Sure. As you're asking your question, this morning just before breakfast, I got this 6-minute recorded message from a godbrother who's in that same space. And can't accept, the misfortune that's come to him. And why should, okay, Krishna's mercy, but supposing Krishna's mercy comes in the form of something that needs to be changed.
It's hard to help someone who's in that.
Yeah, it's hard. And he has this. He's a philosophically strong person, and he has convinced himself by this point, that the 6 points of philosophical justification for his feeling that he's, it'd be the starting point of the recording. It was just a recorded message. You're advising me to accept this circumstance as Krishna's mercy. Okay. Krishna's mercy may be in the form of something that needs to be changed. And he gave this example and that example. So I didn't respond yet because I have a busy morning, but it's I don't want to go there because this particular topic is it has a simple answer, but a simple answer isn't satisfying. At least for this individual. So, back to what your question was. Articulate your question one more time after all that detour.
The question was specifically, is the disposition or the subtle body inclination towards victim mentality also a karmic reaction?
Yeah. 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 No, in hearing the question, again, my thought is going to this philosophically astute Prabhupada disciple that sees otherwise. And he wants freedom. I wish to help him, but I'm not sure how to help him. And I'm not in a position to help him anyways. I mean, the rescuer can't help the victim.
Marge, I had another comment.
Yeah.
There was a slide that showed Vishwanath Chakri Thakur's commentary about the utter dedication to one's guru, and it referenced his commentary in a specific verse in Bhagavatam, which didn't seem very connected to me.
Yeah, it didn't.
I looked it up. I think there's a typo. I think it's 4:28:34, not 24. And then I looked at the verse and the purport, and it suddenly aligned a lot more with Vishwanath Chakri Thakur's.
Okay, let me check. I'm not surprised. Where is it? So it's you saying it possibly is 34. Huh? It is 34. So it's a typo. You think so? What about Madhurya Kadambini? You looked in Madhurya Kadambini? Okay. So let me read 34 instead of 24. Just as, this is 4:28:34. Just as the moonshine follows the moon at night. Yeah. Immediately when King Malayadwaja departed for Kalachala, his devoted wife, whose eyes were very enchanting, followed him, giving up all homely happiness despite family and children. Which, yeah. So I'll have to correct that typo. Did you look up his commentary to see what's on the screen is the commentary to 34? Okay. I'll correct it right now. Mm-hmm. Big difference.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
I'm trying to frame the question better, but I'll make an attempt.
He's okay. It's his voice is shot.
Somehow or other, in this lifetime, by costless mercy, we were able to chant the holy name. But even though we are able to aspire to extend to immediate material relationships to other family members, those I feel like unmissed opportunities from my side, and especially to departed souls in the family. Is there any way our Vaidhi sadhana bhakti will provide opportunities for them also?
For the departed souls?
For the departed souls.
Well, sure. By scriptural reference, one who becomes, one who becomes a pure devotee, supposing you don't become a pure devotee, but one who becomes a pure devotee, then so many generations before and after become liberated. Now, it doesn't say exactly how and when and all of that, but your spiritual asset goes to those persons before and after generations. And supposing one doesn't become a pure devotee, then benefit goes to those by your spiritual merit. So prayer for departed soul, rituals for departed souls, but pure bhakti is, accomplishes any of the above. So moving in the direction of pure bhakti, that's how.
Thank you, Maharaj. I don't know. I apologize if it's a typo from my side when you gave the assignment to clean up this PowerPoint.
When I did what?
I don't know if it is a typo from my side when you gave to clean up this PowerPoint earlier, few months before. I don't know. The 34 and 24.
Yeah.
I apologize if it is something from my side.
Yes.
Guru Maharaj, you had been expressing that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has the ability to very easily explain complex topics. And that was my experience today. There were a lot of analogies. The question answer format made it very easy to understand. I have a couple of questions. There was one slide where there was a bullet point that said, sins committed in past due to bad habits are harmless, like serpents without fangs. And my experiences in my own life, the sins that I've committed before coming to this path have left some impressions and some inclinations. So they certainly I don't experience them as harmless. Will you please clarify, Guru Maharaj?
Well, harmless as long as you don't act on those impressions. And bhakti has the power to not only remove the impressions, but remove the subtle mind and the false ego. So there's some boundaries, some do's and do nots. It's just like, this morning I was listening to Srila Prabhupada explain, when one becomes situated in devotional service, they take only Krishna Prasadam. So if something's not Krishna Prasadam, then that's the constraint. So I may have eaten other things and think something looks really nice or something, just no thank you. Because the principle that I take only Krishna Prasadam. No, then it gets a little delicate. Some persons had this experience. Some persons, because of being householders and because of social circumstances as householders, they're awkward circumstances where you don't want to offend anybody. Then, what do you do in awkward circumstances? There's remedies. I can articulate them, but the principle, speaking on this particular point, is some impression that's an unfortunate impression that's there, and the reaction for that misdeed or something is taken away, but the impression is still there. Bhakti has the power to overcome that the tendency, and the impression to do more of the same. So that's, the whole topic. We already discussed it, prarabdha karma. The power of bhakti is even the tendency can be removed. Karmic tendency can be removed. And the memory, like, the memory of one's past material affairs. It may come to mind, and then because of when the strength of bhakti is there, it's thrown away, far away, on the strength of bhakti. So bhakti is that power that it is the protection. It can't affect. On the strength of bhakti, it can't affect. Ahaitukiya pratyata.
Gumaraj, in these 9 stages of bhakti, my understanding is that sadhu sangha is pervasive throughout.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, it seems like these stages are linear.
Faith is also pervasive.
Yes. So these stages are linear. And then we have the example of Bharat Maharaj, who, because of his offense, fell down into lower stages of the rung, on the rungs from bhava. So this process could be cyclical if there is aparad. Is that correct?
Yes and no. This is my understanding of that scene. The offense caused him to slacken in bhakti. In that slackened stage, then came the affinity for the deer, to the extent that when he fell off the cliff, that's what he was thinking, instead of the shelter of the principle of bhakti, or the Lord of bhakti. But so there's the yes, and then there's the no, because he was rewarded with remembrance of his previous life, his bhava stage of life, and so he behaved, and he did everything as if he was in a human body, but he was in a deer body. So it wasn't. It was eclipsed, but not gone. His bhava stage was eclipsed, but not gone, due to an offense. And so the offense was there's what the offense was is not identified in anything I've read, but there was something. So the something offense resulted in slackening in bhakti that opened up the door for the rest of the mess, the misfortune. But his bhakti wasn't destroyed. Okay. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Okay, sorry. I think in one of the slides you mentioned how Jaya and Vijaya prayed to Krishna when they,
How Jai and Vijay?
yeah, Jaya and Vijaya. They were like, please make us inimical. No. They were like, we want to fight with you for your pleasure. You can fight with us to increase your pleasure.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about a question that I asked you like almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago. You have a good memory.
Like, I asked you if the people who are associated with Kamsa and those demons in any capacity who Krishna killed, in any capacity, the people who are associated with them, if they got the same benefit of associating with a Vaishnava, because Jaya and Vijaya are also very good devotees of the Lord. And you said that they actually didn't.
I said what? What?
You said people who are associated with Kamsa and the demons, they do not get the same benefit of associating with a saintly person. But I was wondering if there are still offenses to be considered, like when we talk about Kamsa or the demons that Krishna personally kills, because like the way Jaya and Vijaya are, would it make Krishna unhappy if we talked about Kamsa without considering that he was Jaya in his previous life?
Well, Kamsa wasn't. That's another point. Because in the pairs of two, Dantavakra and Shishupal, not Kamsa. He's the real deal. He's through and through demon. Not, let us be your competitor because it's a nice service to you mood. Okay? Does that help?
Yes, but what about Dantavakra and Shishupala?
What about him?
Can you offend Krishna by speaking about Dantavakra and Shishupal in a way that you forget that they were like...
In a way that what?
In a way that you...
Yeah, you go real fast. The key part, you say too fast.
In a way that...
You speak very slowly and clearly, normally. And then the jugular part, slowly and clearly.
In a way that you forget that they were Jaya and Vijaya, or you overly criticize them and be like, they were very bad people.
They were. They were demons. That's why their desire was fulfilled. You know the story from the spiritual sky in the Vaikuntha realm. You know the story. I don't need to retell it. So they made this prayer. If you so desire, we know that you like chivalry, and there's no chivalry here. So if you like, we can do that service. If you like. So it was fulfilled. The prayer, there's other details, but that prayer was fulfilled. So they descended and acted as enemies of Krishna. So Krishna was in this chivalrous mood. He wasn't in their these are my devotees mood. So I'm going to let them have it because they wanted to be in that. They were so, the omniscience of Krishna is literal, not figurative. But they were acting as enemies, so he was treating them as enemies. Yeyatamam prapadyante. So it's not an offense to think of them and speak of them as demons, because that's what they were. That was the service that they were doing from Vaikuntha. So it's unique. And all the other demons that are in the material world are not in that same, fell from Vaikuntha because they wanted to. Okay? You sure?
Yes.
2 years later, you're not going to ask the same question. Go ahead, behind you.
Guru Maharaj, I had this question in the beginning of the series, and I thought this will be answered like in today's class. I still had that question remaining.
Oh.
So, in the beginning that we learned, Bhakti Devi gives bhakti at her own supreme will by the medium of a Madhyama Bhakta. So the question I have is, does the Bhakti Devi also withdraws that bhakti because of the offenses that the devotee has made?
Does Bhakti Devi withdraw bhakti from the Madhyama? Is that what you're asking?
Not Madhyama.
No.
Through Madhyama, it manifests in other living entities
Okay.
like us. So
Okay.
if I made some offense, so
If you did, then
the bhakti that has initially manifested within me, would that be withdrawn back?
What do you think?
Yes.
Yes. At least covered. At least covered. Meaning, the offender is like this. This is part of what was being discussed just now. The power of bhakti is withdrawn from the offender, but it doesn't mean bhakti is withdrawn. The influence of bhakti's power is withdrawn, but it's not. So supposing someone has made some genuine spiritual progress, and then they slip and fall. And when they slip and fall, they do bad stuff. Not just, bad stuff, but offensive stuff. It's not taken, it's the power is withdrawn, but bhakti is not. It can be revived. There's no guarantee it'll get revived, but it's not. That soul is forever, in a benefited position. Although the power of bhakti may be withdrawn, the elevating power. Okay. Yeah. Quietly sitting in the corner over here. You got 2 microphones. Pick your pick.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is about, I remember seeing one slide, the 6 stages of unstudy bhajana kriya.
Okay.
But I don't know if, maybe I might have missed it. You mentioned unstudy bhajana kriya and study bhajana kriya. So is it I'm sure it's not same as the Nishtha stage, because there is
The anishtata and nishtha.
Nishtha.
Okay, so those are the Sanskrit terms.
Yes.
No?
So the Nishtita bhajana kriya is not same as the Nishtha stage, right? Because there is another nivritti.
So you speak slowly. Say it again. Say it again slowly.
Yeah. The steadiness in bhajana kriya.
The which of bhajana kriya?
The steadiness.
Steadiness, okay.
Which is not same as the Nishtha stage. Is that right?
The steadiness of bhajana kriya is not the same as the nishtha stage. Is that right?
Yes.
That's your question. Well, what's the distinction between the steadiness of bhajana kriya and the nishtha stage? It is the same. The nomenclature, the language is different, but it's the same thing, the same entity. So there's the unsteadiness caused by 6 things, and when it's the language of Vishwanath is, when it's nearly gone, that's the steady stage. The anarthas are nearly gone, and there's 6 categories of that which is the cause of unsteadiness. When it's nearly gone, then one becomes steady. That is to say, back to Sri Radhika's question, the cause of unsteadiness may be still lingering, but if bhakti is sufficiently strong, it's not going to manifest. That's the nishtha stage. So does that address the question? Yes?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Krishna Maharaj, thanks for the class. I had a question about Nam Aparad.
Nam aparad.
Yeah.
We're not there yet, but we'll go there. That's tomorrow. But okay, go ahead.
So, if you commit Nam Aparad like
Once.
yeah,
We do it more. We do regularly.
so like
Inattentiveness for that as one.
yeah,
We do it regularly.
I feel like you'll have an inclination to keep committing Nam Aparad. So how do you like escape that?
How do you do what?
Escape the
How do you escape the nama parad?
yeah.
Well, that is tomorrow's class, but it's perseverance in principle with the intention to not commit the 10 offenses or to chant offenselessly, and knowing what the offenses are. It's like, how do I drive my car and don't get stopped by the police? Stay within the law. So knowing what is to be done and what's not to be done, you do that. And at least with knowing that even as I'm trying, I'm still making some offense because I'm a conditioned soul and I'm not fully attentive for one out of the 10 at least. And then, my intention is through practice to get to the stage where the offenses are gone. May Krishna be kind upon my efforts, and may I become successful. We had this nice discussion, I remember, because sometimes Krishna pulls the curtain back, and our chanting. I shared this. One devotee in China wrote a note. I was chanting my rounds this morning, and I just felt inspired, and I kept chanting and went till all night long until at night. And it was really wonderful. I'd never done that before. And, Krishna's mercy. So I said, wait till tomorrow to see what happens. So the curtain was pulled back. So, but they had the least experience of what that is. Krishna can do what he wants to do in his relationship with us. So, other than the exceptional circumstance that Krishna may create, with faith in the principle of practice and practice and practice, it's in that respect seminar. Same thing. What to do if we have one of these tendencies for envy within the heart in 4 different stages? What do? You can't stop bhakti. You can't stop worshiping the deity. You can't stop chanting. What do? You continue in that mixed stage with the intention, may I come to the unmixed stage, but by my effort in Krishna's mercy. And then it becomes by Krishna's will, permission, his sanction, then you can go beyond. So that's how your question is, how to go beyond the offensive tendency by practice. Even you're using a tool The example is given: using a thorn to remove a thorn. You've heard that one, yes? So the methodology that I'm using is a less than perfect methodology to get to the perfect stage of chanting. But Krishna sees the intention behind the less than perfect methodology. There's a verse that I was going to read this evening, and it goes something like this. Without the exact language, those that are less than competent in Sanskrit, they may use the following combination of words, which means it doesn't mean the right thing. And then there's the right combination of words. It's like this. But when Krishna hears whether you're saying that not the right or the right, he accepts the intention. So it's what the intention behind. I'd like to come to that stage where I can be free from offense. It's not just so the bell ring and I get an A in my report card, but an unobstructed relationship with Krishna, a genuine unobstructed relationship with Krishna, experiencing Krishna. And that's found in that section of Narada Muni's Achieving Perfection. Canto 1, Chapter 5. He sees the Lord and he experiences the sweetness of the Lord. And that's when he leaves his body. So the perfectional stage is attainable. But not in a business-like manner. I'll do this and I get that. Okay. Anybody over there? Huh? Okay. I go. He wants you to press the magic button. Okay. You're speaking too fast and the microphone isn't on. Now half of it's gone. You got to speak a little slower, please.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. The Madhurya Kadambini, the session is so good. It is like awakening our bhakti.
Okay.
One question I have is about yesterday's session.
About what?
Yesterday's session. Yesterday's evening session.
Yesterday's session. Okay.
You did reminded us two things to be like to progress in bhakti, and you added one more, to be attentive. For my question is, I can be attentive as long as I'm interested, and I can give an example. If I'm cooking, I'm so attentive because I may add salt or spicy more, because I'm not so good at cooking, so I feel like I'm more attentive there. So I'm doing out of fear the cooking. So I feel like even the bhakti also, I think I'm out of fear, like whether Krishna will like me or not if I do this, if he loves me or not. So out of fear, can we do bhakti, Maharaj, or it is not accepted by Krishna?
Yeah. I think I've understood your question. I've learned a lot from hearing the Sri Radhika's narration of these biographies by Prabhupada's servants. And there's a section, Shruta Kirti describes his cooking. Prabhupada didn't complain about it, but later he called it American cooking. And then he tasted, when Jamuna was available, Prabhupada had trained her, and then Shruta Kirti was relieved of his cooking assignment because she replaced him. And he really liked her cooking. And then he could understand, wow, Prabhupada never complained, but this tastes different than that. So, but Prabhupada accepted it. Because for him, it's not like it has to taste like this or I'm not interested. So the principle is that the devotion behind, not the outcome of that devotion, that offering, cooking or any other offering of any other service. Here's a personal example. For many years, like a couple dozen years, my service was distributing books. I did many other things too, but I was never good at it because there's some that were always some better, and it wasn't like competition. Oh, phooey, because I'm not better. But I understood Prabhupada accepts. So when it came to book scores at the end of a month or whatever, it was but it was the effort that was accepted. To my capacity, I made effort. And it wasn't, supposing I could do some flimflammery and get a better score. I didn't want to do that. I didn't do that. You get the idea. It's the love, the intention of pleasing the master that's pleasing, regardless of what the offering is. I'm going to tell a little story that says the same thing, and then we're going to end. Once upon a time, I was traveling from America to Singapore because there were some devotees that I wanted to see in Singapore. They're nice devotees. They were living together kind of thing. And it's a long journey to get to Singapore. And when I got to Singapore, I was jet lagged to the max, but I was also dirty to the max. So I wanted to take a shower. So I took a shower, and there I was putting on my dhoti, because when you fly into Singapore, you don't wear a dhoti. You have to wear Karmi clothes or Western clothes. So there I was in yucky. Anyway, so I'm taking a shower and then putting on my dhoti, and there wasn't even a knock on the door. Just the door flung open, and there was a little girl that wanted to give me a gift. She couldn't wait. And the gift was a necklace of beads of different colors and different sizes that wouldn't fit over my head. But it was like, wow. I wasn't disturbed. To this day, I remember the scene. It was the anticipation of having her offering be accepted, the love with which she was offering. The quality, the usefulness, and anything else was nothing compared to the love with which she wanted to make this little offering. I don't know where that necklace went. I don't still have it. But the memory of the love with which she offered it is there for sure. Clear? And then if there's some areas that you feel maybe with guidance and training from somebody that is good and is competent, so little by little, you learn and you become more proficient. And then don't become proud. Beware of becoming proud. Now I know how to cook. Beware of pride. But that doesn't mean don't become proficient. But the acceptance is not your proficiency. In anything, cooking or anything. And here's another one. I'm getting these every now and then, lately especially, it seems, somebody is getting their first chance to give a Srimad Bhagavatam class at the temple. And they were, not capable. They refused, or declined, or find out an excuse or something. They have homework to do. Young devotees. So now they're going to give their first class, and like you're saying, I'm not qualified, and what am I going to say? There's a whole half an hour, 45 minutes, and have you been asked to give class yet in the temple? Huh? Okay. Okay. But you get the idea. That day will come and then you're in the seat, or you're being asked to sit in that seat, and you feel, oh, you got it? Yeah, same principle. It's not you. Everyone goes, wow, that was such a wonderful class. It's the devotion with which it's offered. And it can be like a 5-minute class. And you get the idea. See the Prabhupada ki jai.